to the third part of data science, Python data science series. Okay, so we are two speakers this afternoon, myself, Adil Tajani, and we also have Nikhil Jindal. Okay, so these are the table of contents for today's workshops. What is pandas? Why to use pandas? Working with pandas, that's its features, and then we'll be going to the hands-on session, that is going to the notebook. Okay. So let's start with what is pandas. I'm sure everyone has heard of pandas because pandas is a term that is very much often used in data science platforms and everywhere. So pandas is basic, as you can see, pandas is a fast, powerful, flexible, and easy to open source data analysis and manipulation tool, which is built on top of Python programming language. Pandas is a module in Python which allows you so many kinds of methods and tools and functionalities that you can use to manipulate, view, and perform different kinds of operations on your data set. So that's why pandas is very famous. Okay. Now, why to use pandas? It presents a diverse range of utilities, ranging from parsing multiple file formats and also converting the data table into a NumPy matrix array. So these are because of this functionalities, it has so many functions that you can use to perform data analytics. And also with pandas, you can also work with NumPy alongside. Because of this functionalities, it is very much widely used. Because of this, pandas is very trusted in data science and machine learning, where we need to do certain things on data sets. We need to analyze the data sets for different kinds of functions. And similar to NumPy, pandas also has 1D and 2D arrays, which are known as series and data frames. We'll cover it in the hands-on sessions. But the thing is that in NumPy, the operations for the 1D and 2D arrays or ND arrays, they are very similar. So for NumPy, those are just dimensions, but for pandas, they have different kinds of utilities for 1D and 2D arrays. Okay. As we talked earlier, pandas allows us to handle many different types of file formats like CSV, TVS, Excel file, or even SQL database. So pandas, because of pandas, you can use different types of extensions of data sets, and you can use them to manipulate the data and visualize the data as you go. And what pandas does is that if you're familiar with CSV format, that the data is separated by commas, the delimiters. Okay, so different files are different format of data. But what pandas does is it converts all that data in a data frame, which is very familiar to statistical software, like you see in Excel. There are columns and there are rows. So it converts all kinds of data into one single statistical software looking like data frame. And because of this, pandas has different kinds of functions that you can use to apply on whole columns, whole rows. You can select different kinds of data from the middle and everything. There are so much functions to do automatically, which is very fast, and it is easy to use instead of those traditional dictionaries and list comprehensions that we use in Python. Working with pandas. Okay, these are the features that we get using pandas. Loading and saving data that we talked earlier. You can load any kind of data in pandas, and you can also save that in different kinds of extensions. So this comes very handy in data science and machine learning applications as you deal with different kinds of data and you have to perform different kinds of data manipulation, and you have to also save those. Viewing and inspecting. There are different types of functions available that you can use to view data in different manners. When you perform data analytics, you have to see different aspects of what data frame is or what your data set is representing, what features are of your data set is representing. So because of this, these viewing and inspecting tools, it comes very handy. Selection of data, you can select the data in any way. Filter, sort, and group by. In pandas, you can filter data according to what you want. So in machine learning, there are, if you know, we get many of redundant data that we need to discard. Or sometimes it comes that the data is dirty. That I want specific values of I want data in some specific range only. So it can filter data for that, and it is used in data analysis. You can sort the data and also group by. Suppose if you want to do something, if you want to analyze it according to some option, then you can group the data according to that option, and then you can analyze that differently. Joining and combining. If you have multiple data sets or multiple frames, you can join and combine those in so many different ways, and you can get a whole new data frame for that. So now I'll hand over to Nikhil Jindal. We'll start with the hands-on session.
Okay, everyone. Is my notebook visible? Can someone give me a thumbs up?
Yes, it's visible.
Should I zoom it or not? Or is it fine?
Is it properly visible to you, or do you need it to zoom?
Someone can just type in the chat box if you want to zoom.
You can zoom in a little.
Okay. Is it fine now?
Okay, I think that's fine. Yes,
Yeah.
you can start.
So, hello everyone. My name is Nikhil Jindal and I'm an IT fourth year student here at SCET. So, without wasting any time, let's jump onto our hands-on workshop. So first of all, I'm importing this pandas library and numpy library. I hope you guys know how to import it. It's just a simple command where I'm importing pandas spd. It is a pseudonym for this library, and same for the numpy. Okay, so I just run it. Okay, then moving forward further. Now I'm creating objects of pandas. Mainly, there are two types of objects of pandas. First is series, and second is data frame. The difference between two is data frame is like a table where you have columns and index rows, but series is like a single column. So basically, when you combine 3 to 4 or more than one columns or more than one series, then you will form a normal data frame. So here, first I'm trying to form a series. Okay, so here what I've done is I'm using this series function, and uh, I'm passing the parameter as a array inside this function. Okay, so what will be the output is here I'm getting this one column. So this row, this array is converted into a simple series that is a single column. Okay, now you can create series by using different types of data types. Here I have used a single list, or you can say a single array. Now I'm using a dictionary to create the series. Okay, I hope you guys know what is dictionary. It is a normal, it is like in some array where you have some index and its values. Okay, so it is a dictionary. It is a simple dictionary here. Now I'm passing this dictionary into our series function. As you guys can see here, A, B, C, D, E are the index of this column. It is a single column, obviously. So it is the index, and 1, 2, 3 are the respective values of these indexes. Okay. Now I'm using 2D array to form a series. So here, first of all, I've created this 2D array. It has 2 rows, as you can see, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. It is 2 rows and having 3 columns. Okay, but as you can see, it is series. So all this value will be considered as a single value of index 0 and 1. So here I should run it. Okay, so here we have index 0 and 1. As you guys know, index always start from 0. So here we have not passed any index, but in dictionary we have already added this ABCD as a index. Okay, but as you can see, we have not passed any index values. So you get, so we have getting this default index values 0 and 1 because we have two elements. Okay, that is two rows here. Just note that 2 3 4 is a one element. You can't say that 2 3 4 are the elements of different columns. Okay, it is a single value. It's like there is a row and the values, there is a column and the values of this column is an array. Okay, now let's create a data frame. As I said, data frame is the combination of one or more than more than one series. First of all, I'm creating a new object that is date range. Okay, it is it has nothing to do with data frame, but here I'm using this object to pass this as an index in our data frames. So it is a inbuilt function of pandas where date range, it is a data type of this. Date range is date time index. It is inbuilt data type. It is a one type of data type in this pandas. So here what I'm passing is 20141101. It is the date. And how can you read it? It is 2014, 11th month and first date. So 1st November 2014. You can read it in this way. What is periods equals to 6? So here what this function will do is it will create a data type or an data type where it will create an one dimensional array which has 6 elements starting from this value up to the 6th value. Okay, so the 6th value is here is 6th date, 6th November 2014, where I have started from 1 November, 1st November and 2014. Okay, I hope it is clear to you guys. If you have any doubt up till now, you can ask me on the chat box. Okay, so moving forward, I've created these dates. Okay, it is a simple object. As you can see, it is a single array which consists of dates. Okay, so now we are creating a pandas data frame. As I said, pandas is a two-dimensional, two-dimensional you can table is obviously two-dimensional. So here I'm passing this data where it is a numpy function. I hope you guys know how to create a numpy array. I'm using here random function to create a two-dimensional array having 6 rows and 4 columns. Okay, so this data frame will consist of 6 rows and 4 columns. Now I'm passing index as dates. So here we have already built the index, that is dates. So I'm passing this as a function, as a parameter here. You can see that in this data frame we have 3 parameters. First is data, that is this one. Second is index, and third is columns. You guys can also don't pass, it is not compulsory for you to pass this index and columns. You can just pass the data and create a data frame, and the index and the columns value will be assigned to this data frame will be default. But here I'm passing this index and columns because I want to change the default values. So I pass these dates, and in columns, as you can see, we have 4 columns. Okay, so I have to pass, if I'm using this function columns, I have to pass 4 values, because if suppose let me just run it. As you can see, we have 4 columns, 1 2 3 and 4, which I've passed from this parameter, and it will be just respectively. Okay, so 1 will come first and 2 will come second, and so on. Similarly for index, you can see that it started from 1st November 2014 up to 6th November 2014. If suppose I change this value to 5, okay, but I'm passing here columns with only 4 parameters, 1 2 3 and 4. So obviously it has to show an error. As you can see, it is showing an error because this and this does not matches. Okay, let me change it again. So again, you can see 1 2 3 and 4. We have 4 columns where we have 4 names of these columns. Now moving forward, you can create a data frame using different types of data objects like dictionaries, series, and 2D NumPy array. Here we have used 2D NumPy array. Now let's see how to create this data frame using dictionaries and series. So here I'm creating these 2 dictionary. dictionary 1 and dictionary 2. Okay, I have these values, I have these dictionary values A, B, C, respectively 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, I have this A, B, C, D, E. Okay, now I'm creating another dictionary data. Okay, it is another dictionary, and I'm passing this dictionary 1 and 2 in this dictionary. So what I'm doing is here that I'm creating a dictionary of dictionaries. I'm passing the dictionary values inside the dictionaries. So suppose data is a dictionary and it has first value, first index key value first. Okay, its first key value is first, and the value of this key value is dictionary 1. Okay, so so just assume it that instead of dictionary 1, I'm writing this part here. Okay, only this part. So I'm creating dictionary of dictionaries. Similarly, for second, we have key value second, and the value of this key is dictionary 2. Okay, so now I'm passing this data is our dictionary, that is dictionary of dictionaries, as a parameter in a data frame function. So you can see now what it will do. So here you can see we have two columns, that is first and second, and the values of this first and second are the dictionary values. So here A, B, C, D, and E are the index values. First and second are the columns, and respectively to A, B, C, D, E, we have these values. For first we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, similarly for dictionary 2 we have values 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. As you can see here, in this dictionary 1 we have not any value for E. Okay, we don't have any value for key value E. So by default, this data frame will set its value to NaN. What is NaN? Is not a number. We don't have any data regarding this index value for this column. Okay, it means that. I hope it is clear to you guys. You are free to ask any question, any queries in the chat box. Please don't hesitate. Okay. Now moving forward further. Now I'm using series to create the data frame. Okay. So first of all, as I've already told before, how to create a series. So here I've just created a series. I've created three series: S1, S2, and S3. So in this first series, I've used a single list to create a series. In second series S2, I've used float values and passed this list as a parameter in a series function. Similarly, I've used another list with values A, B, C, D, that is character values, into a series parameter. So again, I'm creating another dictionary data which has three keys: first, second, and third. Now passing this key the values of series respectively: first for S1, second S2 for second, and S3 for third. So here data is the dictionary which consists of series values, but here we had data as a dictionary which consists of another dictionary values. Okay, so it is a dictionary of series. Okay, it is a dictionary of series. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating another data frame with this dictionary data which consists of three keys, and the values of three keys are the series values. Okay, series objects, sorry. So now let me run it. So you can see first, second, and third are the columns. Here you can see that in dictionaries we have index value. Okay, Python will just in pandas Python will just consider these key values as the index values, but here as you can see we don't have any index values. We haven't passed any index values. So obviously data frame will consider the default values, that is starting from 0 up to the number of elements. So here we have 6 elements: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It will consider, obviously it will consider the maximum number of values that S2 has, or yeah, okay, sorry, that S1 has, okay, 7 values, but here as you can see S3 has A, B, C, D. So obviously other values will be NaN, not a number. So I've created this data frame using these values, where first, second, and third are the columns, default values for the index, and the values will be respective to S1. Okay, so for S1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, and 9. Okay, these are the values. Similarly, for second, we have values 1.1, 3.5, 4.7, and so on. As you can see, we have only either 6 elements. So last element will be a NaN because we don't have any data regarding it. Similarly, for third, we have only 5 values. So the last 2 values will be NaN. That is not a number. No values we have regarding this index values. Moving further, now I'm using a 2D NumPy array, 2D NumPy array, or you can say n-dimensional array to create a data frame. So we have D1 and D2. D1 is a 2-dimensional array, similar to D2 is also a 2-dimensional array. We have, you can say, 2 rows, this one and this one. We have 3 columns, 3, 4, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, similarly, 2D array, 2, 4, 8, and 1, 3, 9, 2 rows. Okay, now again I'm creating a data that is a dictionary, and the values of dictionary is this 2D arrays. So here I've created a dictionary of 2D arrays. Okay, just notice that here I'm again and again using these dictionaries to create, this data frame, because it is a very easy. But generally when we use these pandas in data science, we don't there is no need to build a data frame, because all the time we just download the data okay, data set from the internet. Okay, so here I've created another data frame, df2d, passing this dictionary first and second, because we have only 2 columns and 2, because we have only 2 d1 into d2, that is 2D arrays. So here you can see d1 and first and second. We have index 0 and 1, obviously, because we haven't passed any index value 0. So for these 2 rows, the values are 2, 3, 4, that is array. Okay, a single array value. I hope it is clear. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I'm combining all these 2D arrays, timestamps, and series into a single data frame and trying to build another data frame. Okay, again I'm using these dictionaries APCDE. Okay, I'm using dictionary and I'm passing different values to it. Here I've just passed a single value 1. Okay, so what it will do is it will set the value 1.0 to every column, every values of column A. Similarly for B, it will set this value. For C, it will generate a series that I've used here. Okay, this, okay, this one. Similarly for column D, it will create an NP array, that is NumPy array, which have element values equals to 3. Okay, I've used this into 4 to just create an NP array of 4 elements, because we have here 4 elements. Similarly for E, it will set all the value of column E to FOO, that is foo. So as you can see here, A, B, C, D, E are the columns. 0, 1, 2, 3, that is 4 rows with default index values. A has values 1.0 for all the values of A. Similarly for B, it is a timestamp, that is date time index. Okay, see these values. Okay, 1, I have set it 1 for all these values. Similarly for D, 3, it is set for 4 rows. Similarly E. Now let's print the data types of all these columns. You can use this function. It is not a function, it is an attribute of data frame. Okay, so as you can see, the data type of A is float. Obviously 1.0 is a float value. B is date time index, as I said, date time value equal, because we are using a timestamp, and data frame, that is pandas, has this data type, inbuilt data type, that is called as date time index. Similarly for C, we have used series, but the values of series is float, so we are getting this float value. For D, I've used this NumPy array with data type of integer 32. Okay, similarly FOO, it is a string, that is an object, so its value is object. Now let's see how to view this data. Till now we have created the data frames. Now we will see how to view and analyze the data frames. Okay. Till now, any doubt? Okay. So let's move forward. Now this is an inbuilt function that is .head. Okay. So let's see what it will do. As you can see, it is a head function. It will print top 4 to 5 to 10 5 to 10 rows of this data set. Here we have data set with less values. Okay, we have only 6 values. Let me just add this new. Okay, leave it. Okay, so I've used this data with, as you I hope you guys remember that we had 6 values. Okay, 6 rows from 1 to 6, but here this head function only printed up to 5. Here we have very less number of rows, but in the real data sets we sometimes had more than 10,000 rows. At that time you can't just print all the rows, so we use this head function which will only print the top 10 or top 20 rows of that particular data set. Similarly, if you want, you can print this tail, that is the last rows of this data set. I passed here 3. So what it means that it will print only the last 3 rows. Similarly, if I write here only 2, it will print only the top 2 rows of this data frame. Okay. Now this is another attribute here. Notice that it is the head and tail are the function, but index is the attribute of pandas. Okay, so we have what it will do. It will print the index values of this particular data frame. As you guys know, that is the data index from 1 to 6. Similarly, it will print name of columns of this particular data frame, and here it will print an array of values that are present in this data frame. Okay, starting from, so you can assume that 0, this and this are the column names 1, 2, 3 and 4, and moving from top to down it are these index values. Okay, starting from 1 to 6. It is just a representation of data frame in 2D array. We have another function that is describe. Let us see what are the attributes of this describe function. What is count? It will give you the count of total number of elements present in this row 1. So as we all know that we have 6 value for all these columns, so it is showing us the value 6. Mean is the mean of this column, values of column 1, that is this one. The mean value of this row, this column will be this. Similarly for 2, 3 and 4. STD is the standard deviation for this particular column 1, and so on. Minimum, it is a minimum value that is present in this column 1. As you can see here, minus 1.21 is the minimum value that we have for the column 1. So okay, so here it will print that. Similarly for 2, 3 and 4. 25 percentile, 50 percentile and 75 percentile is obviously the percentile values. Okay, and maximum, it is a maximum value that is present in this column 1. So as you can see 1.88. Okay, so here it is a maximum value that is present for this column 1. Similarly, let's see for the column 4. Here I can see that it is the only positive value, so obviously it is the maximum value for this column 4. Now I'm performing a transpose. What is transpose? It will just switch the places of columns with the index values. Okay, so here you can see now these columns are converted into the index values, and the index values are converted into the column values. Okay, now let's sort the data frame. Okay, so we can do this by using 2 functions mainly. Generally we use only these 2 functions. There are various ways to do that, but here I'm showing these 2 functions. First is by index. Okay, so we are here, just don't assume that index will be only this one. Okay, index can be in the language, in the language of data the pandas, it can be this also, because as I passed access equals to 1, it means this one. If I this one, if I passed access equals to 0, then index will be considered this one. Okay, so just remember it. Whenever I will pass access equals to 1 in sort index function, it will consider the column index. If I will pass access equals to 0, it will consider the index. Okay, so x is equals to 1, so it will sort accordingly with respect to the name of columns. I have passed ascending equals to false, so obviously the column value which will come, which comes after in the ASCII table, because I have column names with string values, so obviously the value which has ASCII value the largest will come first, and the character which has ASCII value the least will be considered the last row, last column, sorry. So here, let's just run it. As you can see, T1, O and F. T comes last as comparatively to these two, but here W and H. W comes later than H. Similarly, O comes later than F, and we have F at last. Okay, so you can see it is ascending in the form of ascending, so it will sort in this way. Similarly, if I change x is equals to 0, you can see 1 is shifted to the last row, and 6 is shifted to the first row because it is in a descending order. Okay, let me change it again. Now we are sorting this data frame using the sort values. Okay, so here I'm using this by parameter, which will tell you which will ask you which column you want, and which column, with respect to which column you want to sort this data frame. So I pass this here the parameter 2. Okay, so it will sort the value of the data frame in the ascending order, because I have not passed any ascending because false. By default, ascending value is set to true. If you want to print the data frame in the descending order, you just have to pass this function. So here this data frame will be sorted with regards to the second or this two column, the column name 2. Okay, so here you can see the minimum value of this column 2 is this one, and the maximum value is 1.96. Similarly, all these rows have shifted. As you can see, it is some random indexes 4, 1, 2, 6, 3, 5 according to the column name 2. I hope this is clear. Please guys, you can ask the doubt because pandas is a bit tricky. Okay, now let's move forward. Now I'll teach you guys how to read and mount the Google Drive on this Google Colab, because as I said, we generally use CSV files that we download from the various sources like Kaggle, and we in the normal Jupyter notebooks that we run on the local host, uh, we use the file path of our local system. But as we are using this Google Colab, it is on the server, so we have to mount a Google Drive, and we have to upload our CSV file on the Google Drive, and after that we will mount this Google Drive on this Colab notebook, and from that we will give the path of our data set, and then we will perform the analysis and the visualization of our data sets. So okay, now first of all, how can you do this? Here it is a simple command. uh, Rather than that, I will teach you how you can just mount the Google Drive. I've already uploaded my data set on my Google Drive. Okay, that is this one, melb. Okay, melb.data.csv. Okay, so let me show you how you can mount the Google Drive on this Google Colab. So here, just click on this one. Okay, this folder, and you can see, wait, you can see here we have option of mount drive. Okay, so let me click it. So as you can see, just after clicking on this this folder icon, I'm the Google Colab has generated this cell for me. I have to just run it. Okay, I'm just running it. After that, I have to move to this URL. Okay, and from this URL, I have to I have to copy the authorization code and paste here. Okay, so let me just log in after this clicking this URL. Okay, now let me change it. Okay. As you can see, I've logged in into my account, that is this one. Okay, so now I'm allowing the access to this Google Drive, to a Google Colab. So here I have to just copy this code. Okay, I'm just copying this code, and here I have to paste it. Okay, as you can see, the drive has been mounted on our Google Colab notebook. Here it will show you the drive. Just wait for it. Okay, you can see now this drive icon has come. Now just we have to surf on this drive and we'll find the path of our data set. Okay, you can see that here is our data set. I have to just copy its path, copy the path. Okay, now let me just close it. Okay, so here you can see I have these functions. Okay, df.csv. I'm creating another data set. Okay, I'm this creating this another data set, or using this data set I'm creating a data frame. So the function to read CSV files, that is our data sets. Generally our data sets in the form of CSV files, so I'm using that. So pd.read CSV, it is a function. Okay, now I'm passing here the path that I've copied. Okay, and now I'm just printing this data frame. It is a normal function, it is a basic function, and in the parameter we have to just pass the data set link or the path, file path. Okay, so you can see here we have such a huge data set. Okay, there's so many number of columns, and as you can see we have 13,580 rows. Okay, it is a, in fact it is a basic data set. There can be times, times that you have a data set with millions of rows. Okay, so now let's just read some functions on it. Okay, so df.csv.head, so obviously it will print all the top 10 rows of this data frame. As you can see, from 0 up to 9. Okay, it has printed all the columns. Similarly for tail, it will print the last 10 rows. Okay, this last 10 rows. Now I'm using this last function, it is describe function. It will give me the brief description about our data set. So count, you can see we have 1350 rows. Okay, um, okay, then mean, then standard deviation, minimum value, and the maximum value. Okay, now we'll do some selections on our data sets. Okay, any doubt? Okay, let's move forward. So yeah, now we will selecting a single column which yields a series equivalent to df.1. Okay, so as you guys know, our simple data frame that we have already used, let me print it. Okay, okay, wait. So here we had this data frame that we've already built with these indexes and these columns. Now I'm just just selecting a single column, that is this one, from this data frame. So obviously single column is also called as series, as I've already said. Okay, so I've just generated a series from this data frame. Okay, so here one, it is a single column with index values. Similarly, you can do the same thing by using this function. Okay, this attribute, this both will do the same thing, df.1, or this one. You can use anyone, any function. Similarly, you can select via slicing, so it will print 4 rows. Okay, 4 columns, sorry. Yeah, 1 2 3 and 4, from 0 to the 3, 0 1 2 and 3. Okay, not here that it is not up to 3, it is 2 3. I mean it will consider all this, both 0 and 3 index values are inclusive here, 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, but or similarly we have just use this 0 3 to print our 3 rows, 0 1 2. Oh, sorry, wait. Okay, 0 up to 3, it will print only, it is used for printing rows, number of rows. So here 0 1 2 and 3, 0 1 and 2, it obviously it will not include this value, index value 3, it will only include up to 2. So we have printed this 3 rows, 1 up to index value 3, that is 2. Okay, similarly I can use this function. Note here that whenever you use the index values, the last value will not be included. But if we use the labels or the column names or the row index names, then it will print, then this value will be included here. Okay, 2 3 and 4, you can see here included, but here this index value 3 is not included because it is, we have passed index values, but here we have passed labels, or you can see the index names to print the data frame. So we got these 3 rows with starting from 2 up to the 4. Okay, 2 3 and 4. Now let's see using the labels. So it is a normal function, that is loc, and what I'm passing here, the parameter is dates equal to 0. I hope you guys remember that dates is a date range object that we have already created, and these index values are the elements of these dates. Okay, so dates 0, it means that 1st November 2014. So this will print only the first row. Okay, this will print only the first row. As you can see, 1 2 3 and 4, it is the only the first row, but it has printed in a in a column way fashion, but it is the single row in the y direction. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so it is printed, this, that particular cell has printed this one. Okay, 0 0.18 1.20 and so on, 0 0.18 1.20 so on. Okay, we have used loc function. It is an important function, you guys should remember it. Similarly, you can perform slicing with 2 parameters. Here it means that it will consider all the rows and these 2 columns. Okay, we have passed here the columns, rows, and here we have passed the column names. So all the rows of 1 and 2 columns, so it has printed all the rows of these 2 columns which has name 1 and 2. Now you can perform slicing on both the side, so it will print only 3 rows of these 2 columns, 2 3 and 4 columns, or 2 3 and 4 rows of this 1 and 2 columns. So here we have 3 rows of these 2 columns. It is a normal slicing that we already have done in the NumPy workshop. It is similar to that. Okay, similarly it will print only one single row with of these 2 columns, single row of these 2 columns. It does that, it has printed in a y direction, but it means that it has printed only a single row of this index value of these two particular columns that we have passed. You can also get the scalar values, that is only the single value of that particular row and particular column. So we are doing here that we are getting in the language of NumPy or array, we are getting the value 0, 0, because we have passed the index value first and index value, and for the column we have also passed the index value first. Okay, it is the name of that particular indexes, but it means like it is similar to df 0, 0. Okay, this one and this one are same. Okay, it will print only one value, that is 0.18. That is in terms of 2D array, it is the value of 0, 0. Similarly, you can get the scalar value using this add function. Okay, it is a normal function. This both will do the same function, but here the thing is this function is pretty faster than this one. Okay, add function is pretty faster for in the case of scalar. Okay, so this both function will do the same work, but this function is much faster than this one in terms of scalar values only. Okay, not here. So now we'll do selection by position. Okay, I can see you guys have no doubts. Okay, now selection by position. So here we have passed the column names or the index names to select the particular data frame values. But here we will now use ilog function that will, in that we will use the index values or the column index values to select the data frame values. Okay, ilog3. So what it will do is it will print the index, it will print the row number 3, that is this one, row number 3, because it started from 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so you can see this is the fourth one because it starts from 0, so 0 for 1, 1 for 2, 3 for 4, 3 for 2 for 3 and 3 for 4. Okay, so it will print the fourth index value 3 means fourth row of that particular data frame. Okay, okay, now we are printing this one. Okay, so we have passed this 3 index values 1, 2 and 4, and this index values for columns. So it will print second, third and fifth row of this first and third column. Okay, first and third column of rows second, third and fifth. Okay, these are the index values, so just be careful about it. Similarly, you can perform slicing using ilog function. Here I have performed this slicing 1 up to 3. Here 3 is not included, as I said, in cases of index values, in terms of whenever we pass the index values, this last values is not included, but in case of names in case of names and labels, both values are included. So here it will print only first, second and third row. Okay, second and third row, only 2 rows, but all the columns. Okay, all the columns 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, pretty easy. Now moving forward, now I'm performing the same function, but I'm just changing the places of these slicings. So here I'll be printing all the rows, but only these 2 columns, that is first and second. 3 is not included obviously. So first is the first index value is equivalent to a second column, and second index value is equivalent to a third, that is 3 column. So you can see we have printed all these rows. Okay, now ilog 1 and 1, as I said, it will print only a 1 value. Okay, so 1 and 1. Okay, index value 1 and index value 1, so it will print the value of second row and second column, second row and second column, because it is the index value, second row index. Okay, similarly df I at, we had this here df dot log loc df dot at. We have these 2 functions in case of index values 2. Okay, So we have used df.iat, iat. Okay. As I said, add function is much faster in terms of in regarding to our scalar values. So obviously this function is much faster than this one. Here we have passed 0 and 0. Similarly, you can print df dot ilog 1 comma 1 or 0 comma 0. Sorry. Change it. Okay. So this both functions will perform this. Okay, will give the same output as you can see. But this one iat is much faster than ilog. Okay. Now we will perform the Boolean indexing. Okay, and out. Cool. So yeah, df dot 1 greater than 0.5. So what we are doing is using a single columns value to select data. Okay, so now the data set will print only those values where df dot 1, that is this column, has value greater than 0.5. Wherever the values of the row of the particular rows has value greater than 0.5, this function will print only those values. Okay, so as you can see, 1.64, 0.7, 1.6 and 1.424 are greater than 0.5. So this data frame will print only those rows that has these values, that for this that has these values and its equivalence column values. Okay, so 1.64, 0.29. Here you can see that it doesn't matter that it has value less than 0.5 or not. We have to just consider the values for column 1. Okay, as you can see, 2, 3, 5 and 6. So it means that column index of it means that first November and 4th November has the values for column 1 which is less than 0.5, and that's why this function has not printed that 2 rows. Similarly, df greater than 0, so it will print, so it will consider all the rows, all the columns. Okay, it will consider all the rows and all the columns. Here we have just included only the one column, so it will print all, it will consider all the rows and all the columns. So as you can see here, the other values wherever the greater for suppose here we have the column for value 1. Okay, as you can see, for fourth, okay, for fourth, the value is uh, in the one column is greater than 0, in is less than 0. That's why we have nan. Okay, so wherever the values are less than 0, it will just add nan function, because not a number address, we don't have any data regarding it. This data frame will print it. I know it is a bit tricky, but just assume that whenever the values in the table has values less than 0, it will not print it. It will just set that particular value to nan, that is not a number. Okay, it will not set to 0 because 0 is also another value. It will rather set it to nan. Okay, that is empty field. Okay, so we are printing all these 6 rows, and for 1 we will print only the values that are greater than 0. Similarly for these twos. Okay, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, here nan, you can see the many values that are negative in the row 2. As you can see, this one. Okay, so we have set it, this function has set it all these values to nan. Similarly for 3 and 4. Now moving further, now I'm just creating another data frame 2, which is a copy of df. Okay, and I'm using this isIn method. Okay, this method is pretty tricky. Okay, so just try to focus on it. Okay, now I've created a new data frame that is a copy of normal data frame. Now I'm adding another column, that is this one. Okay, that is 5. It is another column, you can see, in data frame 2, and the values of this data frame are this 1 1 2 3 4 3. Okay, these are these are the string values. Okay, 1 1 2 3 4 and 3. Okay, we have created another column for this data frame 2 with 6 values for 6 rows. Okay, if suppose I don't add this 3 1 3, it will give an error because we have 5, because we have 6 rows. Okay, so it is compulsory for us to add this 1 2. So we have now two data frames, data frame 1 and data frame 2. Data frame 1 has columns up to 4 and data frame 2 has columns up to 5. Okay, now we are using this async method. So data frame, so just don't focus on this one, just focus this one. Okay, just this, focus this. So what does it mean? Async method, we have passed this 2, okay, 2 and 4. So what it is saying that in this particular column of data frame 2, in this particular column of data frame 2, do we have values equals to 2 and 4? Okay, I'm repeating it. What it is telling us that in the column 5 of data frame 2, do we have values that are equal to 2 and 4? If yes, then just print it. Okay, for data frame. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding it. Okay, just it will print only those rows for data frame 2 that has values for 5 equivalent to 2 and 4. As you can see here, it has printed only these two rows, this one and this one, because these are the only two rows that has values equals to 2 and 4 for this particular column 5 of data frame 2. Okay, as you can see here, we are getting these two rows of data frame 2. Okay, so now moving forward to a setting module. Okay, doubts? Yeah, thanks Adil for covering it. Now moving forward to setting. Setting a new column automatically aligns the data by the indexes. Okay, what does setting means? That we are setting or changing the particular value in the data frame. Okay, we are changing the value or setting the value in our data frame. So now I've created this series S1 p series using a simple list with index values, obviously that we already had. Okay, so so okay, same index value that we have for data frame 1 with this 1 2 3 4 5 6 values. Okay, now what I'm doing is in data frame, in the our original data frame. Okay, in our original data frame that does not have column 5, we are adding another column that is 6 with values equals to series 1. Okay, as I said, S1 is also a column, it is a type of column. So I'm just adding this S1 in our, I'm just adding this S1 column in our original data frame. So now we have 5 columns, 1 2 3 4 and 6. Okay, which has values 1 2 3 4 5 6 that we already had, and for 1 2 3 4 we have already got the values. Okay, so only this column is added into our original data frame. Now let's perform some setting function over it. df.at. Okay, df.at, as we already have seen what add function will do, it will give you the output as a scalar value. So for dates equal to 0 and 1. Okay, it means this value. Okay, for dates equal to 0, it means this one. And for column 1, okay, so the scalar value for this one, set the value to 0. Okay, for this particular value, set the value equals to 0. So as you can see, let me print this data frame now. We can see this value has been set to value 0. Okay, we are not doing any, we are not using any different function here. We are just um, printing it. Okay, we are just just changing the values using our normal viewing function or the selection functions. Okay, we are selecting this particular value and setting its value to 0. Similarly, you can use iyat function for this. 0 comma 1 means 0 comma 1. Now this function will set this value to 0. Okay, iyat and at. As you can see, now this value is also been set it to 0. Okay, it is pretty easy for I think even for you guys. Now I'm using LOC function for selection, and I'm changing changing the values of this particular column for. Okay, I've selected all the rows for this particular column and setting these values for all the rows for this column to which for to this 5. Okay, what this function will do is it will create an NP array, that's numpy array, with value equals to 5. Okay, with value equals to 5 for all the elements of this particular data frame. Length of data frame is 6, so it means that it has created an array with 6 elements, and all the 6 elements has value equals to 5. Okay, all the 6 elements has value equals to 5. It is a numpy array with 6 elements basically. So obviously now you can see the value of this 4 column has been changed to 5. Okay, if suppose I change it to 4, then all the values of this column 4 will be changed to 4, as you guys can see. Okay, now a where operation with settings. Okay, so again I'm creating a copy of this data frame. Okay, that is df2, this data frame df2. Okay, now df2 greater than 0 equals to minus df2. Okay, it's a bit tricky. Let's you know split it up. So I'm selecting all the rows. Okay, all the rows which has values which has values equals to positive. Okay, all the values which has value greater than 0, that are not negative, for column for data frame df2. Okay, okay, we are selecting values for data frame 2 that are positive, and setting all these values to negative. Okay, to negative. We are selecting all the positive values of data frame 2 and setting all these values to the negative values. As you guys can see here, we have all these values for 1a and so on. This one, and this one, these two will be set it to negative. Okay, will be set it to negative. Okay, as you guys can see, all the values of this data frame are negative or either 0. I hope it is clear. Okay, so guys, my part is done now. Now I can handle the dice to Adil, but first let me change something. Wait guys. Okay, let me just command it, because it is my drive. If Adil will try to run this notebook, it will show an error. Okay, you guys have to be aware of that also.
Okay, so thanks for the session, Nikhil.
Yeah.
Now, Adil will be continuing, but before Adil starts, I would like to have a virtual photo of everyone, because as you know that we continue to have a photo of all the DS events that we do. So even then, when we look back, we can have a photo for everyone. So I would request everyone to turn on your camera so that we can have a virtual photo. Okay, Adil. So now we should start the session.
Okay. So without further ado, let's start. Just a minute. So is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Guys, do you need me to zoom in or is it okay?
I think it
Zoom
is
in,
clear.
please.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start. Up till now, we have seen selecting data, assigning data, how to view data in different ways and everything, how to select data in different way. So now in data science, one of the most important aspect is handling data, garbage data. Okay, so many times occurs that when data is collected, sometimes the data is null or sometimes the data is missing. Okay, so we need to handle that too. So now we'll see how to handle the missing data. Okay, so first we'll see reindexing. Pandas allows us to reindex a data frame which is already created. Okay, so it allows us to change, add, or delete the index on a specified access. Okay, and what it will do is it won't change the original data frame. It will return us a copy of the data frame which is changed. Okay, so as you can see here, I've created a new data frame df1. I've used the function reindex. Okay, so this is the function that allows us to reindex the data frame. As you can see here, this is our original data frame. Okay, as you can see, we have 6 dates and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. These are the 5 columns. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to have just four rows. Okay, and I will do reindexing. Okay, so for index, as Nikhil discussed earlier, when we specify something in the index variable, it will take that as index. Okay, so dates is a list that we have, that are the 6 dates that we are seeing right now. So what it will do is select the first 4 dates and it will assign it to the index. Okay, so the index will be first 4 dates. Then columns. Columns is the list of columns is a list of columns. Okay, that is the name of columns. So we just want all of the columns that we have in the original data frame. So from df.columns, we'll get the column names and we'll pass that list to the columns variable. Okay. And what I want to do is I want another column, a new column, which is named as E. Okay. So this is the basic convention that we create a list, and when we use a plus operator, it will append it into the list. So columns will be the original columns plus E. Okay. Uh, as you can see here, there are 4 dates that we assigned earlier. Okay, we have all the columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 here, and we also have the another column E that we assigned earlier. So when we give this E value to the new data frame, what it will do is that it doesn't have any values right now, so it will assign NaN, the null values, to every row. So now we select using LOC, we select the first rows, okay, the dates of 0 to dates of 1. And as Nikhil discussed earlier, when in LOC we use names or lists like this, both are included. So here, as you can see, 0 and 1 both are included. From the E column, this one, and we are assigning the values as 1. So as you can see, for the first 2 rows in the E column, the values 1 and 1 are assigned. The rest are still null values. And when we print that data frame, this is the resulting data frame. This is our original data frame. Okay. So what we have done is we have reindexed the data frame. I want just this values. Okay. So you can say that you can just use LOC or ILOC to get this kind of data frame. But what reindex does is it changes the index values in it, and you can also assign different column names and also add different columns using this. Okay, so this was the reindexing. Now handling the missing data. So pandas allows us to discard null values. Okay, so here we have a function drop any. What this drop any function does is can someone mute? What drop any does is it will drop the null values. Okay, so this is the function df1 dot drop any.
એટલે events એમ.
Can you turn off your audio? Okay, so drop n is the function, and it has a variable how. So what how is that? How do you want to drop the values? Okay, so here we have written any. So what it will do is it will drop all the rows where any of the value is NA. Okay, so if we don't mention it, okay, so here as you can see, it is the by default it will remove all the rows which have null values. So this is drop any. Now sometimes you want that instead of and some what it will do is it will remove all the rows. Okay, but sometimes happens that some other columns in that row have some important values, and if we try to drop all of these, then it will create some disturbance in our data. Okay, so we don't want that. So instead we just want to fill those null values with something that won't affect our data. So here we can use the fill NA option. What it will do is it will replace all the null values with whatever value whatever value we specify here. So as you can see here, the last two values were NaN. Okay, so fill NA has done what? It has filled the value 5 here. Okay, and in fill NA, if we don't specify anything, okay, so here as you can see, I want to fill all the values with 0. Okay, so here as you can see, the values have been filled with 0. So whatever you specify in the brackets, fill NA will fill all the null values with that value. Okay, so now we have seen how to drop null values or how to fill null values. Okay, so now we'll see some operations that pandas allows us to do. So we'll start with some statistics operations. Okay, so df.mean. Df.mean, what it does is it uh, gives us the mean of the values that are there. And using mean, there are two options. We can do mean by column wise. For each column, it will give us the mean of that of all the values of that one column. Or we can also do go by index, that is row wise. Okay. So by default, what it does is it gives us the mean value of all the columns. Okay, so as you can see here, our columns are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and E. Okay. In the original data, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And when we apply mean function, we get mean values for each column. So what it has done is it has given us the mean of all of this whole column. Okay, this whole column for 1, for 2, for 3. Okay, so this has given us mean by column value. Now if we mention 1 here, so 1 is that access variable. Okay, so let me write it here, access equal to 1. Okay, so what access equal to 1 will do is it will give us the mean by row wise. Okay, so for the first row, it has given us the mean values from all the column values. So that is this. It has given us the mean of each row. Okay, this is the mean. So by default, it will by default the value of access is 0. Okay. As you can see here, there is no change. So by default, when you use mean, it will give you mean by column wise. And when you specify axis as 1 or just write 1 in the brackets, what it will do is it will give you the mean by row wise. Okay. Now, pandas also allows us to uh, align the series and data frames together. And it also has a shift operation. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are defining a series which has values 1, 3, 5, a null value 6 and 8. Okay, the index is the dates that we had earlier. These 6 dates, these are the values. Now what I want is I want to shift the data, the values that I have provided by 2. So what it will do is, if you are familiar with shift, it will shift right. It will shift the values by 2 units to the right. So what it does is this 6 and 8 values will be gone. Okay, and this 1, 3, 5 and the null values will be shifted right by 2 values. And the in place of these 2 values that will shift it right, it will give us the null values. Okay, so in pandas, what it does is it will auto align it. As you can see here, first it was 1, 3, 5, but now it has shifted by 2 units to 1, 3, 5, and the null value 6 and 8 are gone. And in place of these in the start we have got 2 null values. Okay, then we have the subtract function. When we do df.sub and we pass a series here, it will what it will do is it will subtract that series from our data frame. Okay, so as you can see here, I have passed axis as index. So what it will do is it will take this series, okay, in this vertical way. It will do subtraction operation on each column, okay, to go row wise. So as you can see here, the first 2 values in the series are null values, okay, and in pandas, null values are not 0 or anything. It is just null. It has no value. So we can't do any operation with null values. Okay, so wherever it is null, it will also result in null. Although you have some values in the data frame, what you will get after the subtraction operation, it is null values. Okay, also in the last one we have null values, so here it is showing null. But if you have this data and you apply the subtraction operation, what it will do is it will subtract this data from the original column data. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the data, okay, here, and what it has done is it has given us the data when after subtracting this series from the data frame. Okay, now we'll use apply. Okay, so these are the basic functions that are already inbuilt in pandas. But what if I want to use some different functions, some numpy functions on pandas? Okay, uh, as I said earlier, pandas and NumPy can be used together. They both deal with arrays. Okay, so what I want is that in my data frame, I want the cum sum of everything. So there is no cum sum function in pandas by default. So I have to use this apply function, and I have to mention my function inside the brackets. Okay. So what it has done is it has applied the numpy function of cum sum on each of the columns. Okay, so it will start with 0, and I hope you guys know what is cum sum. Okay, so it will start with the smallest value, that is, and it will go on adding the values that are there. Okay, so it will start with 5, then there is also 5, so it will go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, so what it has done is it has applied an external numpy function to our data frame using this apply function. Okay, so this is the cum sum values. Now histogramming. I hope you all know what histograms are. Histograms are generally what histograms show us that what are the frequency of data that lies in a particular range. Okay. So here we'll create a series of random integers from 0 to 7 of size 10. Okay, so here we have 10 random integers from 0 to 7. Okay, as you can see here. Now what I want is I want the frequency of numbers that are in this series. I want how many times a number has occurred in this, how many times a value has occurred in this. So I will apply the value underscore counts function to that series. Okay. So as you can see here, it has given me this output. So what it represents is that the value 6 has occurred 2 times in this series. Okay. So as you can see here, 6 and 6, there are 2 values of 6. Similarly, it shows that how many times a value has occurred. So 6 has happened 2 times, 0 has occurred 1 times. As you can see, this is the only value of 0 here. So this is the histogramming method that it gives. Okay. Now string methods. In pandas, you can in a column you can have different columns with different data types. Okay, so let's see that I have a series which has all the string objects in this. Okay, as you can see, all these are all string objects. Now, what I want is, as we see in basics of Python, there is a lower function. So when we have a string, we want all the whole string converted into lowercase. We just apply string dot lower. Okay, but in pandas, you can't do that. Instead, what pandas does is you can use the str. Okay, str allows you to apply the basic string functions on pandas objects. Okay, there's a series and data frames. So we take the series here, apply the str, and then we apply the string function which is lower. Okay, so as you can see here, these all have capital letters, and after we output it, it shows everything with lowercase. Okay, and as you can see here, we have mentioned the null value and it represents as nan, which is not a number. Okay, so when you do any kind of operation, you all the null values will return null only, because you can't do any kind of operation on null values. Okay. So these are the string methods. You can also discover other basic string methods also. So in this way you apply this. So as you can see, in basics of Python, if you know, if we want a whole list of strings converted into lowercase, we do lambda functions or list comprehension or use loops. But as you can see here, we have just used this one line and it has given us the whole series, and it has converted everything into lowercase. Okay, so this is the beauty of pandas, and that's why pandas is very famous. Now merging. Okay, as we discussed earlier, you can merge different data frames, different series together in pandas. So we have the function concat for that. Okay, so let's create a data frame of random 10 by 4. And as Nikhil said earlier, if you don't mention index or column names, it will automatically assign you the names, the indexes and the column names according to it, that are the numbers. Okay, so as you can see, we have just mentioned 10 by 4 numpy matrix. It has created a data frame with default values. Okay, now using the slicing method, we have created pieces of it. Okay, so when you apply a function on data frame, the basic functions of pandas on data frame, it will always return you data frame objects. Okay, so as you can see here, I have sliced first 3 columns, then the 4th to 6 columns. Okay, as you can see here, 0, 1, 2, 3 to 6, and 7 to 9. Okay, so we have created 3 pieces, and these all are data frame objects. Okay, so pieces has 3 data frame objects. Okay, pandas objects, and now I want to concat these 3 objects again. I want to merge them and make it look like this again. So I just apply pd.concat, and I pass in the objects that I want to concat together, and it will return me a data frame. So as you can see here, these were the pieces. Okay, and it has now concatenated it back together. So this is concatenation in Python in pandas. Now we'll see join. If you all are familiar with SQL, the databases, we have join in that. Okay, so when we have a key pair and the values for that key pair, and we apply join, it joins according to some unique value. Okay, so it it merges two different values according to one unique key. So let's define a data frame as left, which has columns key and left well. These are the values inside it. We now define another data frame. Okay, so as you can see here, both the data frames has common key values that are foo, and it has different values in columns that are different teams, L well and R well. Okay, so if we apply pd.merge on these, okay, so in concat we saw that it just concatenated. Okay, so it just placed everything right underneath it. Okay, so as you can see here, it is just stacked below each other and it has concatenated in that way. But when we apply merge, as you can see, we have got four values, but we also have both the columns in it. Okay, so in concat we have common columns in all the in all the objects, but in merge, if we don't have common columns, it is assigning us these columns. Okay, so L well and R value. So if you are familiar with join in SQL, you can see that I have applied the merge function on key. Okay, so key is my unique ID on which this is the column on which I want to join. I want to merge both of my data frames. Okay, left and right. These are my data frames. Okay, so as you can see, for each value of foo, it has assigned a left value and a right value. Okay, so it has matched every value of the left data frame with every value of right data frame. As you can see, 1 4 1 5 2 4 and 2 4. Okay, so this is merging. It is different from concatenation. Okay, so here as you saw that we just had a single key ID, but what if we give two IDs? If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask in the comment section. Okay, so as you can see here, we have two values in key, foo and bar in both of this. So now we have two unique key values. So now again we apply the merge function on key and we pass left and right. So as you can see here, we just got two values this time. Okay, so the thing is in here we had a single key and we had different values in different rows. Okay, so it got confused to how to merge with same keys and different values. So it created all the combinations that were possible. But here we have different keys in our data frame. So it has done is what that it has taken the key from both of the data frames and taken the values from the each data frame that are binded with that key. So from first it has taken L well as 1 and from here foo has value 4. So here we have applied merge on two data frames with different key values. Okay. So this is related with SQL. SQL, if you know how merging is done in SQL. Now appending. Okay. Suppose I have a data frame and I am getting new values. I am getting new different values, and I have to append those values in the data frame. So I'll first create a data frame which is 8 by 4 matrix, and I will assign the column names as ABCD. Okay. Now I will just take a series from this data frame only, from the value 3. As you can see here, it has taken this series of index 3 and it has assigned it to S. Now I want to append this series to this data frame only. So I will just use df.append, okay, my data frame, which is a, and I will apply the append function with the series that I want to append in this. And here, as you can see, I have used ignore index. Okay, so here, as you can see, in a series, you get these indexes by default. Okay, but I don't want those indexes. I want I want pandas to assign the indexes by default. Okay, the trend that is being followed in the data frame. So if I append it, as you can see here, we had just till index 7. Now it has assigned this as index 8, and the values are taken from this series. Okay, so this is how append works. Now grouping. Uh, when you are seeing a trend in data, when you are trying to visualize it, there are groups of data. Okay, for some object, there are multiple data. So when you want to see those data together, they are just randomly placed in your data set. But what you want is view all the data of that single object together. So for that we have group by function, which will group the data according to what object you want to see that data. Okay. So here we are just creating a data frame which has columns A, B, C, D, and we have this values here. Okay. So what I want is that I want to get the sum of all the values of uh, what I want is I want to take all the values of column A and I want that data grouped together and I want their sum. Okay. So what I will do is I will use df.group by A and I will apply the sum function. Okay. So let's just leave it for now. We'll just see what group by does. Okay. It has given me that it is a group by object. Now I'll apply the sum function. So what it does is it groups, as you can see here, we have just two unique values in A, that is foo and a bar. So what it will do is it will combine all the values of foo, that is as you can see here, and it will create the sum of all of these. Okay, so as you can see here, there are just two unique values of column A, that is bar and foo, and what it has given us, that it has given us the sum in each column. Okay, so in the column C, all the foo values are summed together, and this is displayed here. Okay, so this is group by function, which is used to group values together. Now you can also group values by two columns. You can see here. Okay, so now here I got grouped values of bar and foo together. But what I want is I want grouped values of two columns. Okay, A and B. So I have mentioned A and B columns in this group by function, and I have applied sum to it. So as you can see here, it has taken two unique values from column A, and then it has taken unique values in column B, and it has more grouped together. As you can see, for the first value bar, then from B column it has taken 1, and then it has given us the sum of all those values. So what it has done is it has grouped this data frame with bar 1, and it has given us the sum of bar 1 values of all from all these two remaining columns. Okay, so this is the group by method for multiple values. I hope you understood this. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay, so we'll start with reshaping now. When you view the data set, it is already present in the specified manner that you get by default in the 2D array, and the columns and everything are numbered and mentioned as they are formed. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm creating tuple list of tuples, okay, which have values bar 1, bar 2, bas 1, bas 2, and such. Okay, so I hope you know what zip is. What zip does is it takes two lists. Okay, this is the first list. This is the second list. Okay, and it zips the values of these lists together, and it creates a tuple. So I have zipped these two lists. I have created a list of tuples. Okay. Now what I want, we have seen indexing. Okay. As you can see here, these values, what these values represent is they are indexes of these data, these values. Okay, this is the index column. But now I want is that I want to represent my data in multiple index form. Okay, so we create an object of multi-index using pd.multi-index dot from tuples. Okay, so you have to specify this that the multiple indexes that I want to give are in tuple form. Okay, so I want index with two values that are bar and one. So multi-index dot from tuples. Then you have to mention the values of tuples that is we have created here, and what names do you want to give these columns. Okay, so when there is just single index, it doesn't mention any name. It is just the values that you give. But when you give multiple index and you want to show the user or you want to see for yourself that what among these multiple indexes, what this particular row, this particular column of index is representing. So I'm just giving the names as first and second. Okay. So here, as you can see, I have created an object of multi-index. It has created multiple index of bar one, bar two, and such. So now I will create a data frame. I will pass the values 8 cross 2 a NumPy matrix. Now I'll mention as index is the index that I created here. Okay. So I mentioned it here index and columns as A and B. So what, as you can see here, as I mentioned the index as the multi-index object, it has given me data frame where index are where there are multiple index, and as you saw here, we gave these index columns as first and second. So as you can see here, we have index bar, and from the second index we have one, and it has value a for value a and for column A and B. So as you can see here, bar one, bar two, and we have all these indexes. So when you want to represent your data with multiple indexes, okay, so you can use this multi-index object. You can assign it to your index. That will create you a data frame with multiple indexes. Okay, as you can see here, in the first column, the index bars has two indexes, and from base 1 you get these value, and from base 2 you get this value. So this is a helpful way of representing your data when you want to see your data in this manner with multiple indexes. Then you can stack your data frame. Okay, as you can see here, when you are given such data frames, you are viewing it as it is provided. But what I want to do is I want to view my data frame in a stacked manner. Okay, I want to view my data frame in a compressed manner. So I will just use the function as a df.stack, and as you can see here, what it has done is it has compressed my data frame and this one column. Okay, so the index is as it is. Okay, but all my columns, there's two columns A and B, they have been compressed in one single column. Okay, so when you have multiple columns and you want to view it in a compressed manner, it will allow you to do that in this way. Okay, so for it has given me index is from bar 1, the value in column A is this, and from index bar 2, the value of column A is this. Okay, so it has for each index it has given me the values of my column in a compressed manner. So this is the stack method, which gives me my data frame in a stacked manner, the compressed manner. Now, if you have a stacked data frame and you want to view it in the original manner, okay, so we just apply the unstack. Okay, so just there are two simple functions, df.stack and df.unstack. So this is the my stacked data frame, and when I apply the unstack function on it, as you can see here, has given me the original data frame. Okay, this is the compressed one and this is the decompressed one. It's very simple, and this is the kind of utility that makes pandas very useful. So you can manipulate and you can view your data in any kind of way that you want. Okay. So these Unstack also provides you one utility that you can unstack the data in different kinds of way. Okay, so these are the levels that I mentioned here. From level 1, if I unstack, it will give me in this manner. Okay, it has stacked, it has unstacked according to this second. Okay, and when I apply 0 in this, it has unstacked it from this. Okay, bar, plus, food, up. As you can see here, these are my these are my first index. Okay, this is the my first index, and it has unstacked according to that. So this is just a utility in the unstack function. You can unstack your data in any form from any index form that you like. Pivoting. Okay, first I'll just create a data frame, as you can see. Okay, now I have this data frame. I want to represent this table, this data frame in a different manner. Okay, I don't want to say it in this way. I want to create a different table which uses these different values to represent different things. So I will use pd.pivot table. I will pass my data frame, and in that you can mention it as you like. Okay, so what I want is I want to view my data set in a manner that the values that are shown are the values from the D column. Okay, this is my D column. This is my D column. Okay, this, and I want to view just this D column as data. I want the indexes to be from the column A and B. Okay, these are the values in A and B column. I want to use them as index. Okay, here as you can see is the default index, but I want to use the values of A and B as index in my new data frame. So I have passed index as A comma B. What it will do is it will automatically create a multi-indexed data frame, and I want my column names to be from column C. Okay, so as you can see here, column C has these values, foo, bar, and these two values. Okay, and I want these values as my column names. So I have passed columns equal to C. This is my column. And as you can see here now, we have got the whole table. We have got the whole new pivoted table. So as I passed index as A comma B, it has given me indexes from A and B. Okay, the column names are from, I mentioned here, C. Okay, bar and food, these are the two unique values in the C, and the values that you are seeing here are from the column D. Okay, as you can see here, for everything for this 1A in the column foo, the value of D will be minus 0.84. Okay, or 1A for foo, it will be minus 0.84. So this is pivoting table. You can manipulate the data frame as you like. Okay, you have got data set, you have got different values, and you want to see it in a different way. You want the values of index from your data set. You want the column names from your data set, and you can use this pd.pivot underscore table. You can mention your data frame, values, index, and columns, and you can create a different view of your data frame, as you can see here. Okay, so that was pivoting table. Now we have seen how to create data, how to see data in different manners, how to manipulate the data, how to uh, create different kinds of tables, how to reshape. But now we have to see how to get the data, how to load the data, and how to save the data. Okay. So as Nikhil showed you earlier, we saw that you can also import the data from your drive. You can just mount it from this, or you can also use different external sources or the links. But the main thing that we generally do is on machine learning and everything, when we use our local machine to do data analysis, to do different functions on to view our data, we just have to, for saving data, we just have this simple function df our data frame dot to csv, and we have to mention the file name. Okay, so by using this just one simple line, what we have done is we have saved our data frame in our local project directory as the name as foo.csv. Okay, so your data frame dot to underscore csv and the file name. Now, how to read the data on your local machine? Okay, so pd dot read csv. Okay, this is also just a simple function, pd dot read csv, and you have to just mention the path of your file from your local machine. That now, right now we are using Colab, and the file, as you can see, a df.2csv, we haven't mentioned anything here. So what it has done is it has just created a file in our local directory as foo.csv in our project directory. And if we want to just read that, we have to just mention foo.csv, and what it will do is it will give us this data frame. Okay, as you can see here. So by just this simple single lines, you can save your data and you can load your data. Okay, to save that is to CSV, to read it is read CSV. You just have to mention the local machine path where you want to save or from where you want to load it. Okay. Also, as we discussed earlier, Pandas supports different kinds of formats. Okay, CSV is the very famous one that we use for datasets because the CSV allows us to create a very large sets of datasets. There is no kind of limits in CSV, and generally CSV is used to create dataset. But there is also a feature to read Excel files. Okay, you can also save the data to Excel file. Okay, the thing is in Excel, the number of columns that you can create is limited. And if you know about machine learning or data science, sometimes happens that the features or the number of columns goes in thousands and lakhs of numbers. Okay, there are so many features, so the number of columns goes on and on. And Excel has some limitations. Okay, so that's why we use CSV. But if your data set is small, you can also use Excel to save it and load the data. Okay, so as we saw earlier, to save the CSV file, you can use to CSV. But if you want to save your data frame in Excel form, you can use the function to underscore Excel. Okay, to underscore Excel. You have to mention the path where you want to save it and the name. Okay, so I just want to save it in my local directory, in my project directory. So I have mentioned foo.xlsx, okay, and as my path, and sheet name as sheet 1. As if you have used Excel, you know that in one Excel file there can be different sheets. So what do you want your sheet name to be, you have to mention here as sheet 1, and if you don't mention it, it will give the name by default. Okay, and if you want to read the Excel file, you have the function pd.read underscore Excel, and you have to mention the file path from where you want to read, what file you want to read. Then you can also mention, you have to mention what is the sheet name that you want to read. Okay, so if there are multiple sheets, that is sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, but I just want to read the sheet 1. Okay, so I will mention sheet 1 here. Index column equal to none. Okay, so index column, what it represents is if in an Excel file I have different columns. Okay, they have different values, and as we saw earlier in the before, we used dates as our index. Okay, we used that 6 dates as index for our data field. Now suppose in Excel, you know that the index values are just numbers, and that is compulsory. The index values are numbers. But I have a column in that sheet that has dates in it, and I want to use that column of dates as my data frame index. So I will mention index underscore column equal to that column name, which I have in my Excel file. But what I want right now is I just want to import that data frame with default index values. And here we have to specify NA underscore values. So what this NA underscore values represent is In Excel file, suppose garbage data is mentioned in different ways. Okay, so in my Excel file, the null values are represented as NA. Okay, in my Excel sheet, there are some values, there are some null values which are mentioned as NA. So I have to mention in this that in what manners are my null values represented in Excel. Okay, so if in Excel your null values are represented as NaN, so you can mention here. Okay, and if you run it, as you can see, the data set that we saved, we've got here. Now here you can see we have a column named unnamed. Okay, and there are two columns with same indexes. So the thing is that we earlier we saved the data set. Okay, and it had index values, and here we have mentioned that index column equal to none. Okay, so the index values was saved in Excel file, the index column of data frame, and it has imported Excel file with Excel's index values. Okay, so because of that we have got two index values. So this index values was already saved when we saved our DF with this function, and these index values that you are seeing are the default indexes that we got from Excel file. So if you mentioned index column here as A, then instead of these numbers, you would have got values as 1, 2, 3, and everything. Okay, so this is the index column. Okay, so guys, I hope you enjoyed today's section. That's all for today. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask us. Guys, you have any doubts, you can just mention here. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's all for today's session. We saw all the things that we need for using pandas for our data science purposes. Okay, you can use all these features of pandas in different ways as you like for your purpose. Okay, so today we conclude the third session of our four-part data science series. I hope you guys have attended all these series and you enjoyed everything. We will be sending you this notebook again in mail, and we'll also be uploading this whole recorded session on YouTube. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for attending till the last. You can leave now. Thank you, guys.